rounds, 3 wins. Seems there's no stopping the awesome might of HRT's red and white. Big points in the bag and well on track to claiming their 4th Shell Series title in a row.
It's Mark Scape who takes the 2nd race at Eastern Creek.
2 weeks ago at Eastern Creek, another 1-2 result for Scaife and Bright, a day when HRT consistency again won out over Ford's raw speed. Stop-go penalties for Lowndes and Ambrose, snatching defeat from the jaws of another potential victory.
Oh, he's given him a hit too.
Can anyone touch the untouchable HRT? We're about to find out as we sweat it out in Australia's tropical north. Round 4 of the 2001 Shell Championship Series from Hidden Valley, Darwin. Exclusive to your home of motorsport, Network 10.
It's just 3 weeks to the start of winter, and look at these scenes. How good is this? Shorts, sunblock and supercars. What a place. Welcome to the top end. We're in beautiful hot Darwin at Hidden Valley Raceway for round 4 of the Shell Championship Series. But before we get down to business, the motorsport team would like to wish all the mums out there a very happy Mother's Day. We certainly hope that you're having a great one. Well, what's hot up here apart from the weather? Well, the debate du jour since Eastern Creek has been all about whether Marcus Ambrose, Craig Lowndes and Ford were hard done by at Eastern Creek. The short answer is no, but we've got some pictures here to go through with you to explain these situations more clearly. Here's Ambrose running into the back of Murphy. The fact is it's an illegal manoeuvre. He was penalised, so it was probably a good call, but we've never seen it enforced before. But here's the controversial one. Craig Lowndes, turn 1 and 2. No yellow flags, no safety car boards. Now, look to the left of the screen. You'll see Greg Murphy leaving the pit lane. Craig is exiting turn 1, 220 Ks. He's determined to pass another car, but look above the roofline of the Holden Commodore. There's the yellow flag that he could not see. Around turn 2, he rounds up Murphy. The first time that Craig Lowndes actually sees the yellow flag is when he makes the turn approach to turn 3. But there's more to the story. Let's go on board with Greg Murphy as he leaves pit lane. On board with Greg, look to the left. There's the SC board and the flag. Now he begins to come out, merge, blend with the track. Clearly up there on the left-hand side, you can see the yellow flag is flying. And there goes Lowndes around the outside in clearly an illegal manoeuvre. So at the end of the day, I guess the debate is whether or not those guys could have reversed their positions. Of course, in the case of Craig Lowndes, he didn't know that there'd been an infringement until after the race. But now the drivers are aware of it, and there is a light system being developed, so I don't know that we're going to see a repeat of that kind of situation again. But, you know, back to business here. The impressive thing about coming to Darwin is the enormous enthusiasm that this city shows for V8 Supercar and the way that that enthusiasm grabs the entire city. Barry, there's a tremendous vibe up here. The locals really get into it.
Yeah, you can say that again, Neil. It's a completely different atmosphere over here to any other race. I'm right over the other side of the circuit, over by turn 8. It's really quite early. You see the people here, shade of the trees and that. You know, people in Darwin are really taking this race, you know, massive interest in it. When you think 30% of Darwin come and see this race, if you had the same attendance in Sydney, you'd have over 1 million people. A couple of locals here. Who do you reckon's going to win then?
John Bell.
John Bell, what does he drive?
A Ford.
A Ford, eh? And who do you reckon's going to win?
Mark Scape.
And what does he drive?
A Holden.
Great. All right, then. A couple of little local darlings. And I have to say, the people up here, they treat you so good. It's one of the best races of the year, I reckon, Neil.
You're right about that, Barry, but hey, come on, get out of the spectator area, come back to work, we need you over here. Let's look at the top 10 qualifiers on the Shell Helix scoreboard, and Mark Scape did a great job in the shootout yesterday. A 1 minute 8.4, it was a new qualifying record, and an all Holden front row with Russell Ingall alongside, a return to form for Rusty. Marcus Ambrose, the first of the Fords, then Greg Murphy, Glenn Seaton, John Bowe, Garth Tander, Mark Larkham, Larry Perkins and David Bernard. Now, Garth Tander ended up qualifying 7th in the shootout, but a tremendous return to form for him. He bobbed up in qualifying with a great time, came from nowhere after what has been a tough year for him.
Well, last year, Garth Tander was really nipping at the heels of the Holden Racing team throughout the Shell Championship Series. But in 2001, very different story. A lot of people are asking, Garth, what is going on at Gary Rogers Motorsport this year?
I was dreading this moment because I saw you guys go and do this with Bargs last year when he had a bad start of the year. Now you're here talking to me. You know, we built 2 new cars in the off-season, and we put a few things in that we thought would technically be better than the last car. And obviously they're not, because we obviously haven't had a great start to the year. But, you know, the cars are getting better. We're a lot better here this weekend. So, you know, we just got to work away slowly at getting back towards the front.
Must be disappointing, because you guys had a very stable summer when there was a lot of things going on with other teams, and you've come out and the cars just aren't as quick.
Well, yeah, that's right. We had a few personnel changes within the team, and you know, we've also expanded to run a car in the Konica series. So there's a few extra new things that the team's doing that we probably took us a little while to get on top of, as well as developing the new cars. It's disappointing because every time we go to Winton, we go testing, the cars are very fast, like faster than before. So disappointing, but we're getting there.
Wish you all the best luck this weekend. Garth Tander, hopefully he can turn things around at Hidden Valley this weekend. And Hidden Valley is famous for the heat and humidity being really hard on the drivers. And this weekend is sure to be no exception.
Imagine wrapping yourself in 2 blankets and sitting in front of the heater for 2 45-minute workouts. Well, that's the office environment for the V8 Supercar drivers today here at Hidden Valley. They're wearing a race suit similar to the one I'm in, only even thicker. The track temperature, well, let's check that out right now with this little device. 36 degrees. You can expect the cabin temperature to be even hotter during the course of the race, around about 47. And when they come in here into pit lane and the car is stationary and there's no air flowing through the cockpit, it'll get over 50. So tough conditions for these drivers today, but that's just one of the obstacles they've got to contend with.
The other question is, can the track surface hold up? It has been a bit of an issue over the last couple of years where the cars have broken up the tarmac. Organisers have made some changes, including doubling the thickness of the surface. They've also used a special compound to increase the boiling point from 65 to about 80 degrees. But have a look at this. It starts as something like this, but it can get much worse. Will it hold up to 2 45-minute races today? Well, we're about to find out.
It's a good question, Grant. Let's have a closer look, though, at the track. We're at Hidden Valley at the top end, the Northern Territory. You don't get much further north than this. The circuit is very close and handy to the city, around about 10 minutes. Very easy access with public transport. And here's the track in detail. 2.9 kilometres, 10 turns. Unbelievably tough on the right rear tyre. Lap record Jason Bright set back in 99. The old qualifying record was held by Craig Lowndes, but Mark Scaife eclipsed that yesterday with that enormous lap that he did, 1 minute 8.4. So let's go on board with Scaife for an up-close and personal look at Hidden Valley with the Kmart inside line.
Thanks, Combo. This is a lap of the Hidden Valley circuit, which is a really tough little place. Very hard braking area at the end of the straight. About 270k to a double apex, long left-hander where the road falls away. Very easy to get too much oversteer out of there in second gear. Up to third, up to fourth. Through this fast flip-flop, very bumpy braking area, but probably the trickiest corner on the track. Back to second gear, into the apex, give the curve a rub, out nice and wide, don't get too much of the exit curve, gentle on the throttle, back to this real slow, very tight 180 left-hander. On the throttle, nice and easy, up to a great fast, sort of flowing right-hander. Up we go, up to fourth gear, and into probably the most dangerous spot. Right up here at turn 8, long, fast-flowing left-hander, down, major bump there. Very careful the brake, not to lock a wheel, make the apex, almost clip those tyres onto the straight, give the curve a rub there, and up through the gears. Quite a technical, very hot Darwin little racetrack.
So the scene is set. Stand by, everybody. We're taking a break. We're back with race 1 after this. Welcome back to Hidden Valley Raceway, and the cars are wrapping up the VB Challenge there. Now, there was a format change for round 4 of the championship because we had a sprint race yesterday, 20 minutes, no compulsory pit stop, 17 laps was the distance, 49 Ks, a full field of 32, and Barry Sheen, it was an interesting race. Mark Scaife started from pole, but crept off the line ever so gently.
And they penalised him very quickly, didn't they?
They did.
There's just watch the first corner here.
Down to the first corner. Look at the 4th, 5th, 6th battle. Seaton, Ambrose, Bow. That ended in catastrophe with Tander getting caught up in it as well. And Seaton sustained a lot of damage to the front right-hand corner. Change also to the points for this weekend, but we'll get into that in more detail a little later in the show. But Bright's the championship leader from Scaife, Johnson, Ingle, Kelly and Murphy. And as Glenn Seaton drifted back through the pack, it caused a bit of a bottleneck, and McLean got up the inside there, but Glenn had a lot of damage to the front right corner of the car.
Yeah, you'd have to say with the driver's briefing, I would think they would just remind the guys that it's a 17-lap race and take it a little bit easy on the first corner, because otherwise that's going to happen. It's you'd have to say 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. That's on board from Ambrose's car, and he more or less got the blame for it, didn't he?
Well, it was a case of 3 into 2 or 3 into 1, don't go. Seaton was on the inside, Ambrose in the middle, and then all of a sudden it triggered a situation where Glenn made heavy contact with John Bow, who made heavy contact with Garth Tander, and all of those guys, with the exception of Ambrose, had problems. Now, Scaife was given a stop-go penalty for creeping at the start, and it was a stop-go. In the driver's briefing, there was discussion about this because at Eastern Creek, you may recall that Greg Murphy didn't quite come to a stop, although race director Tim Schenken and the stewards felt that he did serve a penalty, and that was the intention behind that decision. So everybody's being careful to make sure they actually pull up to a stop. Meanwhile, the world opened up for Russell Ingall. He started on the front row, and here he is at the top of the pack. He was battling down through the order as well. This is Stephen Richards, and he's getting stuck into it with Todd Kelly, and have a go at Stephen Johnson, an opportunist. Grabs the Holden mirror on the way through. Pretty vigorous.
Oh, amazing. It's this circuit lends itself to that kind of racing, doesn't it? It's but Ingall was on fire, so there's no doubt about it. He's happy with his car, and it's going to be interesting to see the way he goes today.
This was the battle between Larry Perkins, Craig Lowndes,
that ended in tears.
Yes, that's right. And Radisich, and we were looking rearward from Lowndes' car to Radisich there a minute ago, and they had a very close battle, and you can see that Ellery was in there as well. It was nose to tail stuff. Then something weird happened. Greg Murphy went off the road at turn 4 while he was second. No damage done, just skated through the grass. He outbraked himself or some other minor problem, but he got back on and still gathered up important points.
There's Larry after a little tap from Lowndes.
He went off in the same spot, but his wasn't his own fault. He did have a black and silver Falcon firmly planted in the boot lid of that car.
If you look at the right rear, you can see, look, to the right rear, there's a little tap.
John Faulkner went off as well. Quite a few people went off at 4 as the tyres degraded and a little bit of debris got on the road. A few people got trapped. Rodney Forbes was one of them as well. There's a huge bump in the braking area going to 4. Here's Lowndes and Perkins from the head-on view. You can see the back of Larry's car got a really severe tap. Lowndes was able to continue, but he did get a stop-go penalty for his trouble. And officials are being consistent, which is good. We need to applaud that.
Listen to this, though. This is really... I wonder if he was doing what we do, just sit there and grit your teeth when you hear that.
Well, it happens at most intersections in most cities, most days, doesn't it? So Lowndes continued. Larry was disabled quite badly from that shunt. He did finish, but Craig comes in for his stop-go. Complete stop. Ray Robbins there on the control. Meanwhile, Russell Ingall at the top of the pack, and the car was set up well. He was happy. He had a nice, comfortable little buffer over Marcus Ambrose. He's had great success here before at Darwin. It's
funny when you go to a circuit you like and a place you like, it always seems success breeds success, doesn't it? And it's nice to see someone different win, even though it did cost me a few bob.
It did. So that was the margin at the end of it. Russell Ingall from Marcus Ambrose. An excellent result also for Mark Larkham. Relief for Russell Ingall. That was what was written all over his face there. Even the Penguin got in on the act. So that was yesterday's 20-minute sprint. It was a return to the old format. Here's how they finished. We've dealt with Ingall, Ambrose and Larkham. Some movers and shakers in the pack and some that were knocked about. Bright actually had a pretty good run. Radisich also had quite a good run. Those two qualified poorly and moved up. Paul Morris, a good consistent run. Mark Scaife got back to 14th. Glenn Seaton, a shocker. He starts from 27th today. And Craig Lowndes will start from 20th. So after the race, our Greg Rust caught up with a very happy Russell Ingall.
Well, Russell Ingall, what a drive. We haven't seen you this happy in quite some time. Well done, mate.
Mate, isn't it great to be out the pointy end, and what better place than Hidden Valley, in Darwin?
I don't know if you realise, our viewers in Adelaide may recall us during the telecast saying that there was a coffee machine on the table from Barry Sheen if you want a race. Now you've done it.
The lattes are on me, boys. Barry, latte machine. I'll put my order in on Monday, mate. Cool. What a bonus.
Now, are you looking good from a tyre wear point of view for the two big races tomorrow?
Yeah, look, it felt really good. I think it was in the 9s most of the stint, which is a pretty decent pace, you know. And the car felt pretty good. It backed off a little bit towards the end, only a couple of tenths because Ambrose was sort of hovering. But it feels pretty good, you know. It's I think we've got a package here.
Best of luck tomorrow, mate.
Cheers, good on you.
That's right.